What if I told you the best fantasy tabletop role-playing game has been right in front of us since 2004? It's faster, simpler, and deadlier without the baggage. And when you get into a new relationship, that's important, isn't it? No baggage? It's right here, and it's called Castles and Crusades. The only people who aren't likely to enjoy this game are those who want to get bogged down under piles of rule books and culture war debates devoid of historical and literary context. This game blends the classic dungeon crawling style of the 70s, 80s, and 90s with a streamlined D20 mechanic. And it was the first game to really do that. Long before the term OSR meant anything, CNC was already capturing the soul of old school gaming. It's not a clone, it's a refinement. You know what? That sounds vaguely important, so I'll repeat. In case anyone missed it, Castles and Crusades uses a simplified D20 mechanic. What's that? Oh,
Castles and Crusades is built on what's called the D20 mechanic.
Not only can you easily convert previous D20 publications to Castles and Crusades, you can also convert your 5e material as well. Troll Games provides a free PDF on their website to assist and guide you in breaking up with 5e. Furthermore, you can jump into the action today. Troll Games offers free PDFs of their earlier printed pre-OGL books, which they have addressed with their fantastic Reforged books. Look at these covers. Does that look kind of familiar? I'll have links for all of this in this video's description. This review of Castles and Crusades is the hardest I've ever made. You all know I only review games I love, and with every word I try to express that love. But how do you explain the beauty and majesty of Michelangelo's Sistine Chapel ceiling to someone born without sight? How do you describe the divine power of Beethoven's Ninth Symphony to someone born without hearing? And if you haven't been a game master for 45 years, how do I explain what it feels like to finally find the perfect fantasy tabletop role-playing game? If I focus only on mechanics, I'll fail to show you why this game moved me. But if I only talk about love, some will complain.
8 minutes and I have no idea what this game is about.
Despite repeatedly telling them, hey,
Castles and Crusades is built on what's called the D20 mechanic,
which they call the siege engine. So in this video, I'm gonna try and do both. I'll explain why Castles and Crusades is everything I've ever wanted in a game, and an outline of how it works. This isn't another retro clone. They've been here since 2004. In fact, did you know that 5e was influenced by this game? But don't let that scare you, because 5e took the best parts and then added a bunch of garbage that ruined it. This game isn't nostalgia bait. This is a beautifully streamlined masterpiece that keeps your games moving. For every 5e rule telling you what you can do, there's 5 more telling you what you can't. Castles and Crusades isn't about limitations, it's about possibilities. Want to run old modules? Do it. Want to convert monsters? It's almost plug and play. Combat's fast, rulings over rules. You won't be stuck flipping through 600 pages mid-fight. And speaking of pages, the Reforged Player's Handbook is 266 pages. That's everything you need. One book. And the new Reforged books? Well, they dropped all of the old OGL content, so you get tighter writing. And in their Monsters and Treasures book, the Castle Keeper is getting far more imaginative monsters to torment. Challenge their players. Castles and Crusades is built on what's called the D20 mechanic. If you've ever played 3rd edition D&D or even just 5e, you already know it. Roll a D20, add a modifier, try to beat a target number. That's the core. But where 3rd edition added layer after layer after layer after layer after layer after layer of complexity, skills, feats, stacking modifiers, situational bonuses, prestige classes, subsystems within subsystems within subsystems, Castles and Crusades says, hey, let's slow down. Do we need all of that? Instead of complexity for its own sake, CNC gives you a stripped down engine that does everything you need and nothing you don't. It's like comparing 2 relationships. One is overbearing, constantly telling you what to do, how to do it, when to do it, with a giant rule book to keep you in line. That describes a lot of the modern games around today, and is precisely why so many participants have been turning to OSR style gaming. These modern rules heavy games may claim to love you, but they clearly don't trust you. They micromanage everything. Now picture a relationship built on trust, where you're respected, where you're free to be yourself and use your creativity. That's Castles and Crusades. It says, you know what makes a good game. We laid the foundation, then you bring it to life. When learning a new game, I have 2 simple steps. Look at the character sheets. Assuming we have some familiarity with TTRPGs, that alone tells us so much about the game. Then get a rudimentary idea of how combat works. It does not matter what style of game you play. It doesn't matter if you'll ever even have a single combat, but learn how combat works and everything else tends to fall into place. Because this is a YouTube explainer, I'm going to add a 3rd step. I'll tell you about the siege engine. This is the dice mechanics on which the entire game operates.
Mechanics.
Castles and Crusades uses a simplified D20 system called the siege engine, which is the game's core mechanic. The siege engine is used for almost everything: climbing, sneaking, resisting magic, deciphering runes, and more. It always works the same way. The player describes what they want their character to do. Example, they want to leap across a deadly chasm. The castle keeper, which is the game master, picks the attribute that fits the action. Jumping might use strength, hiding might use dexterity, and reading ancient text might use intelligence. The castle keeper sets the difficulty, called a challenge level, CL. Easy is 1, average 3, hard 5 or more. The player rolls a d20 and adds their level, sometimes class level, depending on the task, their ability score modifier, any other relevant bonuses such as gear, magic, etc. The result is compared to a target number. If the attribute is primary, the base is 12. If it's secondary, the base is 18. Then the castle keeper adds the challenge level to that base. You can make this even easier and faster using a common house rule. The official rules tell us the challenge base CB is 12 if the attribute is primary and 18 if secondary. The challenge class CC equals CB plus challenge level CL, which keeps the castle keeper CK set. Now I'm already lost and confused, so instead of this, just use a flat challenge class and players will add +6 if it's a primary attribute or 0 if it's a secondary. Players still add ability modifiers, levels, etc. normally. This results in the same probabilities but faster math at the table.
Character creation.
Creating a character in Castles and Crusades is refreshingly straightforward. You start by rolling up to 6 ability scores, the old-fashioned way, 3d6 per stat, and then assign them to strength, dexterity, constitution, intelligence, wisdom, and charisma. You pick a race and a class, figure out your primary attributes, and you're already halfway to a playable character. If you're used to endless skill lists and subclass trees, you're in for a pleasant surprise. C&C keeps things fast and flexible without sacrificing flavor or identity. You've got a solid lineup of classic old-school fantasy races to choose from: human, dwarf, elf, gnome, halfling, half-elf, half-orc, and even a few slight sub-race tweaks like hill dwarves or high elves. Humans get 3 primary attributes, which is a really big deal in the siege engine system. From there, you choose your class, one of 13 options including fighter, ranger, rogue, assassin, barbarian, monk, bard, cleric, druid, illusionist, wizard, knight, and paladin. All of them feel iconic, but stripped of modern clutter. Each has clear mechanical identity, level-based abilities, and clean progression. Characters advance from level 1 to 24, with experience tables and class features mapped out clearly in the core rules. No need to buy 5 books just to see what your class will look like at high level. And if you want more options later on, the Adventurer's Backpack expands character creation even further with new classes, spells, gear, and more. But you don't need it to start playing. The Reforged Player's Handbook is a complete game in one book. It respects your time, gives you just enough crunch to chew on, and leaves the rest to your imagination and the Castle Keeper's rulings. Let's talk about combat. Combat in Castles and Crusades is fast, brutal, and easy to run, just the way I like it. At the top of each round, everyone rolls a d10 for initiative. No modifiers unless your Castle Keeper says otherwise. Highest result goes first. Then things go down the list. Each combat round represents 10 seconds of in-game time, And on your turn, you can usually do one major thing: move, attack, cast a spell, use an item, or try something creative like tipping a table or grabbing a rope. It's lean and clean. None of this bonus action, reaction, legendary, layer phase nonsense. Just tell the CK what you want to do, roll the dice, and get on with the story. Making an attack is simple. You roll a d20, add the base to hit bonus, which goes up with class and level, throw in your strength or dex modifier depending on the attack, and try to meet or beat your opponent's armor class. If you hit, you roll damage based on your weapon. Hit points work just like classic D&D. When you run out, you're unconscious or dying. Healing is slow unless you've got magic, so every point matters. No short rest, no nap healing. You get hurt, you stay hurt, and that's a good thing. It keeps the tension alive and the stakes high. There are rules for special maneuvers like grapples, charges, and critical hits, but they're optional and easily handled with a single roll or ruling. C&C doesn't bog you down in modifiers or nested conditions. It assumes your castle keeper knows how to read the room, how to use common sense, and how to make rulings on the fly. So instead of stopping the game to debate edge case rules, you get to stay immersed in the action. You want fast and dangerous combat where every decision matters? This is it. Hit points and death. Characters fall unconscious at 0 to -6 hit points. At -7, they start dying. -10 is death. Healing? There are no short rests or long rests in Castles and Crusades. That's video game logic I can't stand. I shouldn't need to explain why. In C&C, healing is slow, dangerous, and meaningful, unless you've got magic or a cleric ready to patch you up. You recover 1 hit point per day with rest plus constitution. If you're lucky enough to find a few weeks of safety, healing speeds up, but there's no insta-heal mechanic here. The tension is real, every point matters. Common house rules. Another common house rule is used when creating player characters. The official rules tell us to roll 3d6 6 times and assign freely, but a character with a 3 score is no fun and will have trouble keeping up. So instead, roll 4d6, drop the lowest, and then assign the 6 scores freely. I've been using that method since the 80s. You still won't start out a superhero, but you'll have a character that makes sense as an adventurer. The Siege Engine D20 mechanic is pass or fail. Beat the challenge class or lose. That's no fun and ignores opportunities for narrative interest. So instead, if you only miss by a point or two, perhaps instead it's a partial success or complication. And what if you succeeded by 10 or more? Add flourish, speed, or bonus effects. Roll a natural 1 or 20? The castle keeper may choose to trigger critical failure or heroic results. Here's a pro tip. For moments like this, I hand it to my players. I want to hear their suggestions first. If it's great, I'll use it. If not, I'll make up my own ruling. You know what? It's always in their best interest to come up with something on their own. There are more house rules I'll cover in the future. Those are the 3 most common, and I recommend including them in your games. Versatility. Is C&C compatible with 3rd edition D20 or older D&D books? The short answer is yes, generally. You can easily adapt modules, monsters, and adventures from 1E, 2E, 3E, or even retro clones like Labyrinth Lord and Osric. I can talk more in depth about conversions from past editions in future videos. For now, remember you can get their past printing as free PDFs on their website and a 5e conversion guide. They also have quick start rules. As long as those remain available, I'll include links in this video's description. This video is about Castles and Crusades and why it's a great game, the best game. And that means it doesn't need to compare itself to other games. I don't need to put down other games to lift this up. Not in this video anyway. There's plenty of opportunity to do that in other videos. There are other good games, but in every case I find something that bugs me, something that just doesn't work for me. But then comes Castles and Crusades. It's simply amazing, and it hasn't needed to completely reinvent itself every few years because it's been great from the start. Right now, they are in the final days of their Adventurers Backpack Reforged backer kit. In addition to your pledge for the Adventurers Backpack, which offers players a cornucopia of new character options, you can add the Player's Handbook, Castle Keeper's Guide, and Treasures and Monsters books to your pledge. Over the past 2 decades, there's been plenty of evidence that we're living in the worst possible timeline. The fact that Critical Role didn't pick up Castles and Crusades is yet another piece of that puzzle, because had they, C&C not only would have received the attention and popularity it deserves, but Trollord Games absolutely wouldn't have given in to loud screaming tourists on Reddit the way some other companies seem to have done. You can expect a lot more content about Castles and Crusades in the future on this channel. This love affair isn't ending anytime soon. In fact, I was asked to game master at a convention this year as I have in past years, but I've had to turn that down due to running a small business. But I'm hoping by next year, this YouTube channel might supplement my income enough that it allows me a little free time to be able to run games at conventions, and Castles and Crusades will be my game of choice. Thank you all so much, my spooky friends. I'm your host, Aten, here at We Love TTRPGs, and thank you so much for watching.